Rod Stewart, a music legend with a distinctive husky voice, immortal hits, and a life of the most lavish. But behind the halo are hidden corners that few people know. Family tragedies, illness, and a fading career. Why did a great star like Rod Stewart have such a bitter ending? Did he find happiness after all? Let's explore his life, full of ups and downs, in today's video. Childhood and musical career. Rod Stewart was born on January 10th, 1945, in Highgate, London, England, into a middle-class family. His father, Robert Stewart, was a Scottish bricklayer, and his mother, Elsie Gilbert, was English. Rod was the youngest of 5 children, and as such, he was often pampered by his parents compared to his older siblings. Although born in London, with Scottish roots from his father, Rod Stewart was always proud of his Scottish blood. Later, he often wore the traditional Scottish kilt in his performances and often expressed his pride in his family heritage. As a child, Rod Stewart's greatest passion was not music, but football. He was a boy who loved sports, especially idolizing Arsenal Football Club. Rod also had the opportunity to pursue a professional football career when he tried out for Brentford FC, a small team in London. However, he quickly realized that he was not good enough to become a professional footballer and decided to give up his dream of playing football. Al Jolson and Sam Cooke. It was their style that inspired Rod Stewart's characteristic husky voice and energetic performance later. In 1962, at the age of 17, Rod joined the Ray Davies Quartet, the forerunner of the Kinks. However, he did not stick with the group for long and continued to look for other opportunities in the music industry. Rod Stewart began his professional career when he joined the Jeff Beck Group in 1967. This group was one of the prominent names in the blues rock genre at that time, with Jeff Beck, a legendary guitarist. Here, Rod began to hone his rock singing skills and attract attention with his unique voice. After leaving the Jeff Beck Group, Rod Stewart continued to join the band Faces, where he teamed up with Ronnie Wood, who later became guitarist for the Rolling Stones. Faces quickly became famous for their explosive, improvisational performances and hard rock style with a touch of blues. The image of Rod Stewart with his messy hair, colorful floral shirts, and characteristic husky voice gradually became an icon in the rock music scene of the 70s. Despite his success with Faces, Rod Stewart still wanted to develop his career. In 1969, he released his first solo album, An Old Raincoat Won't Ever Let You Down, marking the beginning of a brilliant solo career. However, it was not until 1971 that the name Rod Stewart exploded globally with the album Every Picture Tells a Story, which included the hit Maggie May. Maggie May was originally intended as a B-side to the single Reason to Believe. However, once radio stations began playing the song repeatedly, it quickly became a phenomenon, catapulting Rod Stewart to new heights. Not only did the song top the charts in the UK and US, but it also established Rod Stewart as one of the top rock stars of the 1970s. Career peak. After the success of Every Picture Tells a Story and Maggie May in 1971, Rod Stewart not only maintained his career, but also became increasingly famous with a series of big hits. These songs not only helped him consolidate his position in the rock music scene, but also expanded his audience, allowing him to approach many different genres of music. In 1975, Rod Stewart released the album Atlantic Crossing, marking a major change in his career as he moved from England to the US to work in the international market. This album included one of his biggest hits, Sailing. This song is a cover of the Sutherland Brothers, but Rod Stewart brought a new breath of life with his emotional performance, making it one of his iconic songs. Sailing not only topped the UK charts, but also became a familiar song at major events, even used by the Royal Navy in official ceremonies. When recording Sailing, Rod Stewart burst into tears with emotion. He later revealed that the song reminded him of his father, who always supported him in pursuing a singing career. Therefore, he poured all his emotions into each verse, making the song a masterpiece. A year after the success of Atlantic Crossing, Rod Stewart continued to conquer the US market with the album A Night on the Town, 1976. In it, the song Tonight's the Night, Gonna Be Alright became a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, maintaining the top position for 8 consecutive weeks. This song has a romantic soft rock style, with sexy lyrics and a gentle melody. However, because the lyrics were quite bold for the time, many radio stations in the US initially refused to play it. However, thanks to Rod Stewart's charisma, the song still became one of the most popular songs of the 70s. In the original version of the song, there was a whispered French lyric at the end of the song, performed by Britt Ekland, Rod Stewart's girlfriend at the time. This made the song even more seductive and curious to the audience. In the late 70s, the disco wave exploded worldwide, and Rod Stewart decided to experiment with this style with the song Do Ya Think I'm Sexy on the album Blondes Have More Fun, 1978. This song is a mix of rock and disco, with a catchy melody and a vibrant bass line. Despite controversy for its sudden change in style, the song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the iconic songs of the disco era. After the song became a hit, Rod Stewart was accused of plagiarizing the melody from the song Taj Mahal by Brazilian musician Jorge Ben-Jor. In the end, he had to compensate Jorge Ben-Jor for part of the profits. However, Do Ya Think I'm Sexy is still one of the most memorable songs of his career. Rod Stewart is not only famous for his unique husky voice, but also for his energetic, vibrant, yet romantic performance style. He always knows how to interact with the audience, turning each performance into a real musical party. Rod Stewart is not limited to a specific music genre. He started with blues rock, then moved to folk rock, and then tried his hand at disco, pop rock, and even ballads. This diversity helps him reach many different generations of audiences. He also often incorporates Scottish folk elements into his music, from the way he sings to his performance costumes. The image of Rod Stewart wearing a Scottish kilt and tartan scarf became one of his signature marks on stage. Rod Stewart is one of the best-selling artists of all time, with over 250 million albums sold worldwide. He has had 10 #1 albums in the UK and 4 albums topping the Billboard 200 in the US. For his great contributions to the music industry, Rod Stewart has received many prestigious awards, including the Grammy Award, Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album, 2005, Brit Awards, Outstanding Contribution to Music, 1993, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, honored twice, both as a solo artist and as a group faces. Rod Stewart is not only famous for his distinctive husky voice and illustrious music career, but also made the press spend a lot of ink with his decadent, lavish life and a series of love scandals. He is the embodiment of the wild lifestyle of rock stars in the 70s and 80s, with luxurious parties, famous love affairs, and lavish spending. What is this other side of him? Scandals and lavish lifestyle. Like many rock stars of his time, Rod Stewart indulged in wild parties that lasted until dawn. He once admitted that during the 70s and 80s, most of his offstage time was spent on strong alcohol, drugs, and partying at luxury nightclubs. One of Rod Stewart's favorite drugs was cocaine, but instead of using it through his nose as usual, he chose to apply cocaine to his gums to avoid affecting his vocal cords. This helped him maintain his distinctive voice, while many of his contemporaries suffered from substance abuse. In an interview, Rod Stewart once admitted that he had been living without tomorrow for decades. He said, "I spent millions of dollars just to get drunk and wake up in hotel rooms not knowing where I was. In addition to his debauchery in alcohol, Rod Stewart was also famous for his reckless lifestyle. He was a regular at famous nightclubs, such as Studio 54 in New York or Tramp in London, where lavish parties were often held with the participation of Hollywood superstars, royalty, and influential figures in the entertainment industry. Rod Stewart is not only famous for his music, but also for his series of tumultuous love affairs with the most beautiful women in the world. Among his lovers, we must mention Rachel Hunter, Alana Stewart, Penny Lancaster, and many other supermodels and celebrities. In 1978, Rod Stewart married Alana Stewart, a famous model and actress. However, this marriage lasted less than 5 years and ended in bitterness. Alana once accused Rod of being a philandering husband who could not be faithful. After the divorce in 1984, Alana received a huge post-marital allowance, making their divorce one of the most expensive divorces in the entertainment industry at that time. Rachel Hunter, a failed marriage with a supermodel 24 years younger. One of Rod Stewart's most notable relationships was with supermodel Rachel Hunter. When he met Rachel, Rod was immediately attracted to her hot beauty, even though she was 24 years younger than him. The couple married in 1990 and had 2 children together. However, this marriage did not last long. In 1999, Rachel suddenly filed for divorce, causing Rod Stewart to fall into a state of mental breakdown. In a later interview, he bitterly admitted, "I never thought that a 50-year-old man could be dumped like a 16-year-old. After a series of failed relationships, Rod Stewart finally found a place to settle down with Penny Lancaster, a model and photographer. They married in 2007 and had 2 children together. Penny once shared that Rod Stewart changed a lot after having a family, becoming more calm and responsible. Rod Stewart is famous for saying, "I don't have a problem with marriage. I just have a problem with fidelity." This is a candid admission of his love affairs. Rod Stewart is not only passionate about music and women, but also a true car enthusiast. He owns a car collection worth millions of dollars, with some of the rarest and most expensive models in the world. Among them, we must mention the Lamborghini Miura, an iconic speed masterpiece worth millions of dollars. In addition, he also owns a Ferrari Enzo, a legendary model of the famous Italian car company, with only 400 cars produced worldwide. Indispensable in his collection is the Rolls-Royce Phantom, a symbol of luxury and class, often favored by billionaires and royals. Besides his passion for speed, Rod Stewart also has a strange but elaborate hobby, collecting model railways. Instead of simply collecting, he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a miniature railway system right in his villa. The system is meticulously designed down to every detail, simulating the American landscape of the 1940s, with steam trains running on winding tracks through bridges, stations, and nostalgic small towns. This is not only a personal hobby, but also a work of art that shows his meticulousness and passion. Not only spending money on special hobbies, Rod Stewart is also famous for his regal lifestyle, not sparing any money on lavish vacations and lavish parties. He often organizes grand events at the most luxurious resorts in the world, with a guest list full of powerful and famous people. The pinnacle of luxury is when he rented an entire private island just to hold his birthday party, with the presence of hundreds of VIP guests. These parties are not just simple meetings, but also classy events, where fine champagne flows like a stream and music bustles all night long. Even though he's long past his prime, Rod Stewart still maintains the lavish lifestyle of a rock legend. He's a living testament to the saying, "Live hard, play hard," a life that's not only dazzling on stage, but also sparkling off. Tragedy of life. Entering the 1990s, Rod Stewart no longer held the legendary status on the charts as before. The rise of new music genres, such as grunge, Alternative rock and hip-hop made his rock-pop style gradually become outdated. Young artists such as Nirvana, Pearl Jam, or Tupac Shakur began to dominate the music market, putting the monuments of the previous decade in a difficult situation. Not only was Rod Stewart under pressure from changing music trends, but he was also heavily criticized for pursuing commercial pop music. To maintain his career, he released many songs with a sweet pop ballad style, but they were not highly appreciated by critics. Some albums, such as Vagabond Heart, 1991, or A Spanner in the Works, 1995, still sold well, but no longer created explosive hits like before. His loyal fans were disappointed that Rod Stewart seemed to be losing his signature rock sound to follow the mainstream. Although he still had a steady audience, it was clear that Rod Stewart's heyday had passed. He was no longer the headliner when it came to new releases, but was instead a living legend who was remembered with nostalgia. Not only did he face a decline in his career, Rod Stewart also had a life-and-death battle with illness. In 2000, he was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, a dangerous disease that could take away his voice forever. The surgery to remove the tumor was successful, but it left serious consequences. Rod Stewart's signature deep, husky voice was severely affected. After the surgery, he spent months practicing and recovering his voice. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not regain 100% of his original voice. The signature timbre that made Rod Stewart's brand has now become weaker, losing some of its edginess and strong emotions. This is perhaps the biggest shock for an artist who makes a living by his voice when he is forced to accept the fact that he is no longer the same. Not stopping there, Rod Stewart also continuously has problems with his vocal cords. In later years, he suffered from chronic laryngitis, forcing him to postpone or cancel important shows many times. This is inevitable for an artist who has performed for decades, always giving his all on stage. Rod Stewart has a total of 8 children with 5 different women, including official marriages and short-term relationships. However, not all of his children have a good relationship with him. One of his most famous children is Sean Stewart, the son of his first wife, Alana Stewart. Sean grew up in a lavish environment, enjoying a life of wealth, but also falling into the temptations of fame. He got into trouble with the law, abused stimulants, and partied uncontrollably. Rod Stewart tried many times to help his son get on the right track, but there were always fierce conflicts between father and son. Not only with Sean, Rod Stewart also had a distant relationship with some of his other children. His constant change of partners and having many children with different women made the family fall apart. Although he later tried to connect more with his children, the past wounds were still hard to erase. Rod Stewart once had it all: talent, fame, money, and love. But looking back, his life was also filled with painful lows. A declining career, a damaged voice, and family rifts all marred his later years. Was this the price a rock legend had to pay for years of living life to the fullest? The tragic end. Rod Stewart was once a blazing fire on stage, but in recent years, his aura has faded. New albums have been released, but have not created a big buzz. Although he still retains a loyal fan base, the next generation no longer sees Rod Stewart as an immortal icon. In the 2010s, he tried his hand at many different genres, from pop ballads and jazz to cover songs. Although some albums such as Time 2013 or Blood Red Roses 2018 still received attention, they no longer had the strong influence at their peak. No more resounding hits, no more sold-out global tours. Rod Stewart's career gradually entered a period of stagnation. During this time, he appeared in public less and less frequently. If Rod Stewart used to be a sought-after name at award ceremonies and TV shows, now he only occasionally appears at special events or performs some commemorative concerts. From a passionate rocker, he gradually became a veteran artist, singing more for passion than for fame. Not only did his career decline, but Rod Stewart's health also showed clear signs of deterioration over time. After undergoing thyroid cancer surgery in 2000, his voice was never the same. Vocal cord problems made it difficult for him to perform, sometimes even forcing him to cancel important shows because he could not sing fully. In 2019, Rod Stewart revealed that he had been secretly battling prostate cancer for 2 years. He was lucky to detect it early and successfully treat it, but this continued to be a sign that his body was no longer as strong as when he was young. In recent public appearances, people can see that Rod Stewart has aged a lot. The once messy platinum hair is now thinning, and the old rugged appearance has given way to a man with somewhat slow, cautious steps. Although he still maintains an optimistic spirit and often shares with fans about his current life, everyone understands that today's Rod Stewart is no longer the burning legend he once was. Rod Stewart is still alive and enjoying his final years with his family. But if you look at his life, it is not difficult to imagine a more tragic ending that could have happened. If he had not discovered thyroid or prostate cancer in time, he probably would have passed away in the early 2000s, when his career was still unfinished. If he had not given up the debauched partying lifestyle of his golden years, he would have been exhausted by alcohol and stimulants like many other rock legends. Some fans were worried that Rod Stewart would end up like Elvis Presley or Freddie Mercury, music legends who passed away with too many unfinished things. But fortunately, he overcame the darkest times and still exists today. However, even though he is still alive, looking at the present, Rod Stewart, many people cannot help but feel regretful. From a romantic rocker to a burning flame on stage, he is now just an old man gradually closing his glorious years. Is it possible that Rod Stewart's tragic end lies not in some painful event, but in the inevitable decline of time? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates.